welcome to another episode. Gas Network presents sports for the culture.
I'm here with the family.
Bryce, XXV, Double I,
Rome,
D-Malo,
Gruff Lion.
T-Boogie, man.
This is the greatest sports show on the planet. La Familia. Hope y'all ready for a ride.
Can't wait to hear what you guys got to say.
Man, if I wasn't ready for the night show before, I'm definitely fired up after the intro. It gets me every time. I'm tonight's host. It's your man, Young Rome 22 on all socials, as always. Before I introduce the squad, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what we got today. We're going to talk about the NCAA tourney. We got Paul Pierce on the docket tonight. The Jets got a QB on the move, new QB in Carolina. We're going to talk a little bit about the draft. Packed show tonight, but before we get into anything, as always, let me introduce the fellas, or let them introduce themselves, I should say. And I'm going to start with top left.
What up? Scruff Line, Good Sports. What time? This is 10:30. We back in the zone. Paul Pierce, man, all I got to say, actually, I'm going to save it. Go ahead.
I'm going to keep it on the left side, man, bottom left.
Hey, T-Boogie, man. Y'all know what it is. Since we ain't going to get to it on the show, I'm going to just go ahead and say I was the bracket challenge winner. I knew I was going to be the winner. You know what I'm saying? I was winning before I was even winning. Like, I picked Baylor. Baylor got it done. You know what I'm saying? I'm the new Gas college basketball analyst. You know what I'm saying? Come to me for all college basketball. But wash your hands, wash your ass, man. The Roni's still out. Hey, let's go.
Hey, we're going to debate what that man just said in a little bit here on the show. But the man above me, man, top right. What's good?
At Bryce, XXV, Double I, a.k.a. Mr. Big Leaguer. Ready for the show tonight, man. I think we got some good topics. Last week, we stirred up some controversy. So let's go 2 for 2, fellas. Let's get it.
Yeah, man, let's definitely jump into it. The first thing that we're going to get into today is the NCAA tournament. We have crowned a champion, as you all know. T just alluded to it. Baylor has won. But would you guys say that was more good Baylor or bad Gonzaga based off what you saw in that game? T, I'm going to start with you since you called it.
It was a little bit of both. Gonzaga looked like a team that really hadn't been in a dogfight. We saw that when they played UCLA. UCLA jumped all over them. They was able to pull it out with this magical shot from Suggs. Gave us one of the best college moments of all time. And I think that emotional high really, take a lot out of them. They were happy just to get by UCLA. Baylor was waiting on them. Those 3 guards at Baylor, man, incredible. 2 of them should be going to the league for sure. I think all 3 should be in the league. But I think it was good Baylor. I think it was more good Baylor. Just a great college basketball team and a great story.
Interesting. All right, Scruff, I see you nodding up there, man. What was your take on that game?
I was actually relatively surprised. That was a pretty reasonable take by T. So yeah, I mean that's pretty accurate. But I'll say it's definitely more about the Zags than Baylor. Baylor's some dogs. I don't want to take anything away from Baylor. There's some dogs, and I mean it's really what it comes down to me is conference play. I mean, what you got is a big powerhouse team that beats up on, subpar competition in their conference. And, you've seen what happens when they got a little challenge. A UCLA, a Pac-12 team came in there and gave them heat right down to the last shot. And it was one of the best shots I've ever seen. But, when you get to the biggest game and you got a team like Baylor, who's got a whole bunch of dogs, and they went through the Big 12, which in my opinion is the second best conference outside the Big 10 this season. Man, it's more about the Zags, man. You could just see, like, man, they wasn't really ready for that heat that they was bringing because, man, they some different kind of dogs over there at Baylor. So shout out to Baylor. Shout out to the coach, man. He built up a nice little program over there the last couple of years, and he a real coach. And I like what they building. T, you did call it, so I'll give you that.
T was on the money on this one, man. Bryce, would you say that was more good Baylor or bad Gonzaga?
Yeah, this is tough. This is a tough one because I think it does go a little bit both ways. But it's hard for me to say to take anything away from Baylor and to just say it was bad Gonzaga. Gonzaga definitely was not the team we had seen all season, though. There's no question. They were not the team we saw against UCLA. They were not the team we saw during the run in that tournament. And to me, that is no question about it. But Baylor, they hung their hats on their defense, and their defense showed up for sure. I think there was some critical coaching errors made on Gonzaga's part. I thought when Jalen Suggs got the 2 early fouls, I thought it was a big mistake to pull him. I thought as soon as they pulled Jalen Suggs early, I mean, he didn't play for about an 8 minute stretch in that first half. Maybe it was a little shorter than that, but it was a very long time without their best player on the floor. And it was clear that he was the only player on the floor that could match Baylor's athleticism. As soon as they pulled him, it seemed like the rest of the team kind of panicked. So I think that was the biggest coaching mistake of that game. And I do think if Mark Few had to do that one over, he would have left Jalen Suggs in the game, let him play it out. Because you saw when Baylor's guys, when their big men got in foul trouble, Drew left them in. He didn't pull anybody. Their big Thamba got in foul trouble early, ended up fouling out of the game. But the game was already out of reach by the time he fouled out because they stuck with their guys. I think that if I was Few in that situation, I would have stuck with my guy a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, it's the championship game. You got to stick with them. But I mean, let's just give a round of applause to T, man. Like he called it. I can't lie. You know, I had Gonzaga in the tourney, so I'm a little bit disappointed. But for me, the best moment came in the game before when Suggs hit that shot. I think that was the best, most memorable moment of the entire tournament. And it kind of leads me to my next question, which is, despite this loss, who would you say had the better season overall? Because this is the only loss for Gonzaga. They were undefeated leading up to this. So, I mean, when we look back on this in a few years, is Baylor going to be the more memorable team, or are we still going to look at Gonzaga as one of the better college teams?
Nobody remembers the losers, bro. Nobody remembers the losers. That's the bottom line. So, great season, but nobody talks about the losers, unfortunately, unless you're local. You know, like when St. Joe's had that wonderful season with Jameer Nelson and them. You know, great run, but they didn't win it. So, yeah, I'm gonna forget all about it.
Scruff has a point. And I don't want to take all the credit for predicting Baylor. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing a lot of gloating right now, but I studied the ancient astrologies, man. The Mercury was in the retro Gatorade and all that. I got my crystal ball. You know what I'm saying? I just knew what it was. But to answer your question, though, I think it's going to come down to what these guys do at the next level. Gonzaga has 3 guys, potentially 4, that can go to the next level. And what these guys do in the pro. If Kispert and Suggs turn out to be all-stars, then you're always going to remember that college team, that run, you know, that team that was almost there. But if Mitchell and Butler and maybe T go to the league and they're all-stars, you're going to remember that team. So I really think it comes down to what happens. I know I remember that D-Wade Marquette team just because of D-Wade. So it's going to come down to what happens in the future. I mean, I could tell you, but you're going to have to pay me for the next prediction.
Hey man, we're going to check your batting average on those predictions, man. I don't know how efficient you are with the calls, but yeah, you got
Barry Bonds.
I'm a little salty because I think I finished second place, so y'all can hear the saltiness in my voice. But I think when it comes to like what team will remember more, I think you definitely gonna remember the winners more. I mean, if we look back at the season, Baylor was on pace to be undefeated too. These teams were on pace to meet in the championship, both being undefeated. The COVID layoff kind of threw Baylor off track. Without that, you know, it was a good chance we're talking about another undefeated team for the first time in 35 years, whatever it is. I also think that Gonzaga's dogs really didn't show up to play last night. You know, like, I mean, Kispert, these guys this is a first round draft grade on them. Ayayi, another first round grade. I mean, Suggs showed up, don't get me wrong, but like I said, he didn't even play enough to really have the impact he could have. But Baylor, on the other hand, it seemed like those guys rose their stock. Everybody on Baylor's squad seemed like they rose their stock. I think coming into the tournament, they only had one guy that was like a solidified first round grade in Butler. But now we're talking about Mitchell, we're talking about Butler, Teague, even maybe one of those big men make it. So I think at the end of the day, we definitely gonna remember this Butler team a lot more than we remember Gonzaga.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. G mentioned it in the comments. He said, you know, Baylor never even lost the lead. So I think it's also about the way that they won. It was really impressive. But let's keep it pushing because you guys kind of already got into it a little bit about the performances of some of the players. T mentioned, you know, we'll remember the teams based off the players and the legend that they built from here on out. So who was the most and least impressive player in your guys' opinion in the tournament? I'm gonna start with Bryce on this one.
Oh man, we're talking about teams from the championship game. I got to go with Butler from Baylor. That dude showed off, man. It seemed like every three he chucked up was money. I mean, don't get me wrong, Davion Mitchell was looking like a dog too, but bruh, Butler right now is looking like he's going to go into the league and just be super efficient. Kind of reminds me of a bigger version of Fred VanVleet, the way he was balling out. I mean, the step back threes, it's like he couldn't miss a step back three. Every time the dude got breathing room, it was a knockdown shot. Got floor general to him. And then took home the most outstanding player of the tournament. So you got to give him props for that. So I think he was the biggest winner of this entire tournament. Davion Mitchell, on the other hand, rose his stock a ton. I was very impressed with him. I called him a Damian Lillard without the jumper. They got the same dribble package. He just don't quite got the same jumper. So I definitely love Davion Mitchell and what he did this tournament, but it's going to be Butler for me.
Okay. T, I saw some reactions down there, man. Do you agree with Butler as the most impressive, or who you got?
I thought Davion Mitchell was impressive because even when he wasn't scoring, he was affecting the game on defense. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I've said he was a lottery pick. I liked the kid before the buzz grew. So he was really the most impressive to me, but Butler did play out of his mind. I think Suggs was pretty impressive. I kind of picked Suggs' game apart, but I think between Suggs, Mitchell, and Butler, those three guys right there, man, you can toss up, you pick one.
I would agree with that. It's definitely a toss-up. I would pick Suggs for me. Scruff, we're tossing it up. Who you picking?
I mean, to me, a big part of my evaluation when I do the prospects, and I ain't gonna rank nobody yet, but I mean, I feel pretty good about saying that Jalen Suggs is a number one pick type of talent. When a player plays that well throughout the whole season, comes in as a freshman, it's winning program, checks many boxes. Those are a few of the main boxes. Then he performs big in the biggest moments. That shot, man. When I was watching that game, I seen UCLA come back. And they hit that other three. Then they got down the court and they tied it up. And I thought for sure, man, there's such a small window of opportunity there for them to possibly score. And Jalen Suggs took that window, it went the length of the court, got that ball, put it in position, and made it look flawless like he did it like a million times before. And that's just something that you can't teach. So when it comes to valuations, big player, big moment, those are the biggest moments for me. And, Jalen Suggs was checking all those boxes. Ultimately, they couldn't win the championship. But, I mean, a hell of a run. And talk about being iconic and being remembered and what people are going to remember. People are going to remember that shot forever. That's a Christian Laettner level type shot that we just saw. In my basketball watching lifetime, it is the best shot I've ever seen in a tournament for the buzzer. Couldn't get no bigger. And by the number one player potentially in the draft. That's prime time, baby. That's my guy.
I couldn't agree more. For once, I love one of your takes. I see some reactions for the fellas, though. Somebody wants to jump in. Go ahead.
I don't know about that being the best shot, man. When my guy from Villanova just a couple years ago knocked down the tray ball for the championship, I think that's probably my top shot I've ever seen in the tournament. But that was definitely a hell of a shot. I mean, nobody thought it was going in. I do question whether my guy meant to go bank or not. I think that bank was a little bit of an accident. The bank was open. He cashed it out, but definitely a hell of a shot. No question.
I just got one question for you, though, about that shot, Bryce. What's the name of that player that hit that shot for Villanova? Enlighten me.
I can't remember. I know he was number 2. I actually know he's from around the way.
Okay.
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 But that doesn't make it because I don't know his name. Doesn't make it a worse shot. I mean, that shot was for all the marbles.
No,
I mean, that's
nothing to take away from that. It's nothing to take away from that. But when you're talking about a guy like Jalen Suggs, potential number one pick, it's just a lot bigger when the biggest player in the game potentially hits the shot. It's just different.
I think it's a lot bigger when it's for the hardware. I mean, if Jalen would have went out and had another spectacular game and got the chip, then I would have been like, then it's definitely probably the biggest shot because I mean it led them to the championship. Without that, they wouldn't have got the hardware. When you go out and you have a dud, I don't know if I can call that the biggest shot. I don't know.
Hey, man.
And I'm surprised to hear that coming from a Villanova guy. I would think a Villanova guy would definitely have that as his number one shot.
Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you what I see. I'm a big time prospect guy. So you feel me? When the lights is shining the brightest, who gonna step up, man? What cream gonna always rise to the top, bro. So when I see that from a big player, that means even more to me, rather than some guy who I can't remember his name. No disrespect. And I love Villanova, but I'm a Rutgers guy, so get it straight.
Yeah, man. But let me talk about who underwhelmed and really needed that game to, put him in that draft conversation. But Timmy, he was averaging a dub for Gonzaga the entire way. And the knock on him was, unathletic, white guy, can't really shoot, can't play from the perimeter, but he was killing. He killed all tournament. And he got up there and he was against athletes, I'm not even gonna say equivalent to what you would see in the league. So I think that really hurt his stock. I think that pushes him to be, play in Barcelona, Yugoslavia, somewhere. But if he would have performed well, a 20, 25-point game from him, maybe even a close loss instead of that blowout, might have put him in the second round somewhere. But he's officially off my draft board. Timmy, I'm sorry, man. You and Luka Garza, you guys got to go play for Tel Aviv or Manchester United or whoever is over, across the pond, bro. You guys, they not built for the NBA game.
Come on, man.
Well,
Timmy's only a sophomore, man. He still got some time to put it together. I do agree he was having a crazy season, crazy run-up to that. But nobody on Gonzaga really put it together. I mean, Ayayi, they're talking about he's a mid-first rounder. He disappeared, and he was balling all tournament. He's supposed to be one of the more athletic players in the draft this upcoming year, and it looked like he was just a shell of himself. I think that's all the credit to Baylor's defense, man. That team straps up. Team defense on 1,000. I don't want to take too much away from these Gonzaga guys. I think, any given day you could take an L. We've seen some of the greatest college basketball teams in recent memory come in and lose first, second round to a straight dark horse. So, it's hard. I don't want to rag on them too hard because at the end of the day, they still made it to the championship, which is still a feat in itself. So, I think Timmy still got an NBA future.
All right. Well, we
shout out
heard
to all
how,
them guys, but not Timmy. He don't have an NBA future.
we hear how disappointed T is in this performance. It was clearly the least impressive to him. Bryce, Scruff, do you have any performances that got you wanting to kick a man out the country?
Kick a man out the country. Damn, that is deep, man. You told my man that he said, "Yo, go across the border, bro." He told him he told him get out of here. Nah, man, I agree with you on the Luka Garza thing. I already said what I had to say about the boy, and he won AP Player of the Year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but honestly, man, I ain't gonna take my platform to rag on anybody. So I don't got nobody that really disappointed me. Honestly, maybe if I'm being a little bit of a stickler, I expected a little bit more from Cade Cunningham, although I think he could potentially still be a number one pick. But I just wanted a little bit more from Cade Cunningham. And overall, I was a little disappointed with the Big Ten. You know what I'm saying? I had Big Ten heavy in my bracket, and the Big Ten let me down, man. Ohio State, man. Like, if I ever see that coach out there, you owe me $20. That's all I'm saying. So.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I tend to agree with you about Cade. I said it a few weeks ago on the show that I felt like he played way too timid in the tournament, and that was a little disappointing for a guy that I feel like has that takeover ability. Another guy that I felt like had that takeover ability that didn't show it was Evan Mobley. I love Evan Mobley's game, but it seems like Evan Mobley's one of those guys that's going to have to kind of be pushed out of his shell. I felt like playing alongside with his brother might have masked a few deficiencies that he does have. I still think he's an elite prospect when we talk about the next level, but it's going to take something to bring that dog all the way out of him because in the tournament I just didn't think he was dominant enough or dominant up to his capabilities. So those are the two guys I feel like kind of let me down a little bit, but I think they're both ballers. They both have bright futures at the next level. And man, I can't let y'all keep disrespecting these guys, man. Y'all disrespecting Luka Garza. Luka Garza just came off a hell of a college career. He's definitely going to the NBA, whether y'all like it or not. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be a star at the next level, but there have been guys before him that have looked like the questionable athleticism, get to the next level and they ball out. So I'm not going to count Luka Garza out on being a serviceable player in the NBA.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Let's keep it pushing on the NCAA though. Before we move on, we got to talk about the women's tournament as well. They crowned a champion. Their game was a lot closer than the men's game. I believe Stafford won by 1 point against Arizona. It was 54-53, if I'm correct. Fellas, what are your thoughts, analysis? Let's dive into this.
Hey man, Harry McDonald is the truth, man. I know they took the L. She missed the shot at the buzzer. She didn't have her best shooting night, but I mean, I read a stat that during the season she accounted for over 35% of Arizona's points. That's ridiculous to be that much of a key cog on that tough of a team. So shout out to Ari McDonald. She is a baller. On the other side, you got to shout out Haley Jones. Haley Jones is a 6'1", 6'1", like multi-talented guard forward. But like, I mean, she kind of does it all. She did it all for Stanford. I don't think they win that game without Haley Jones. As good as the rest of their supporting cast is, I don't think they can win that game without Jones. She looks like she's going to be a baller at the next level as well. So I'm very excited. And back to Ari McDonald. Man, that girl's speed is unreal. I think she was the fastest player I've seen like in women's college ball this year for sure. And one more thing I'll say, I said this a couple weeks ago too. I think the women's tournament was by far much better than the men's tournament. I got to see a few games, and they were all great games. And you're just looking at so much talent. The players out there are so talented, so skilled. Where the men can kind of make up for some of those skills, some of those fundamental skills we're taught at a young age. They can kind of make up with it with athleticism. The women, just their skill level is off the charts, man. So shout out to the women's tournament. I saw some of the numbers come back. It was one of the most watched women's tournaments in a while. So that means people got their eyes on the women's game. It's deservingly so, because these girls out here balling, they've been doing it forever.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Totally agree with you. I mean, it's no more content. It's a lot more continuity in these women's programs as well, man. And you can see that, man, especially with a team like Stanford. Stanford's a very well-rounded team. You know what I'm saying? Not a big star or anything like that. They got a pretty good, well-rounded team, very solid. And that's a team that's going to fare well in the women's game, man. But to be honest, and not take away from Stanford or anything like that, but I'm a little disappointed. I think Baylor should have been in the game. You know what I'm saying? I think Baylor would have had to got that call. You know what I'm saying? I think that would have been a much more intriguing story. I'm glad the ratings are up, but I would have rather seen Baylor in that game. You know what I'm saying? And I think Baylor would have won it. I think we could have had a men and women's both sides national championship. I think that would have been great.
No, that's a fact. It definitely would have been good for college to have both Baylor's in. That'd have been definitely big for that Baylor women's program. Who ever since Brittany Griner, maybe a little before that, but Baylor's been a strong program. Stanford. Course, UConn. But one thing I noticed, I didn't even get to catch that championship game, so I'm a little blown. But one thing I did notice is that the women's game has evolved. I mean, the guards have similar skill sets to the men. I mean, as far as like the tools that they have outside of, maybe not the 40-inch vertical, but the hezzies, the step backs, the turnarounds, the stop and goes, the up and unders. Like the women are starting to play really, really similar to the men, and it's really exciting basketball. And I think that it just bodes well for the sport overall, just the sport of basketball in general. Young women watching the game, you don't have to just come up there, shoot the free throw, do your jab step, and be super fundamentally sound, man. Go out there and mix somebody up, man. Break a few ankles.
Have some fun with it, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. We talked a lot about the NCAA, but let's keep it on a basketball topic. We're gonna switch gears a little bit here. This is a little bit more of a fun topic to talk about, but it does pertain to the NBA. One of the all-time greats, one of my favorite players. I don't know how you guys feel about this player, but I think we're about to find out. I don't know if everyone's seen the news or the IG Live video that went up of one Paul Pierce, but my man was having a good time, too good of a time, because he ended up losing his job at ESPN. So it's not exactly safe for work. But we've all seen it, so I got to get your guys' thoughts here. Bryce, what are your thoughts on this Paul Pierce video?
Oh, man. Paul, how you get fired on your day off, man? I hate to say it, but I had to. Shout out to Paul Pierce, bro, because first of all, I didn't think it was a fireable offense. I've seen a lot of fireable offenses. I've seen a lot of people get fired around me. A couple people got fired in my job not too long ago. And usually when you get fired, it's for something that, you do at work. Not something that happens outside of the job, unless you're getting arrested for something criminal, unless you're doing something, that's just egregious. And I don't think this happened with Paul Pierce. I think, my man's enjoying his life. He's at the card game. fellas, you know how the card games get. Sometimes they get a little litty. Might have a little drink. Might have what do the old heads call it? A little libation. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I ain't mad at Paul. I ain't mad at Paul at all, man. I did peep the one little shorty throwing up the Yakuza gang signs in the background. I was like, what up? What's going on here? But other than that, man, I don't think it was a real reason to fire Paul Pierce. But at the end of the day, we know how those big corporations go. Those big corporations not standing for anything fun, man. ESPN isn't saying anything fun. But I'll tell you one thing. If Stephen A. Smith would have done that, they wouldn't have fired Stephen A. They would have been like, I made my man get on there and say a little apology. But they wasn't going to fire Stephen A. over that same offense. So I think Paul Pierce neck might already been on the chopping block. I don't know how high his Q rating was with ESPN. People was questioning his takes, left and right. I personally always rocked with him on the Countdown show. I thought he was killing it. Thought he gave a different perspective. I think some people didn't like it because he has a pretty elevated view of self. Paul Pierce feels like he was one of the best players in his generation, and rightfully so, because he was one of his best players in his generation. I still go back to that time where they was comparing him to D Wade, and they were and those were just siphoning it, like saying how he really didn't compare when you held the stats. But if you watch the games, ball just as hard in a lot of those head-to-head matchups. So shout out to Paul, man. But end of the day, how you get fired on your day off, man?
Feels like an episode of When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. T, man, you got any thoughts on this Paul Pierce incident?
I mean, they say he got fired. To me, it just looked like a spectacular quit. You know what I'm saying? Spectacular resignation. You know what I'm saying? You got the fellas, you got the girls, y'all living it up. You on IG Live. I was a little disappointed. He only had about 300, 300 viewers. But I do think it was a fireable offense. You hate to see anybody lose their job, But at the same time, ESPN is owned by Disney. The only way to keep sports alive is through the youth. We can't have a face. Paul Pierce is an on-camera personality. We can't have him live streaming. He's smoking. He's partying. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he's on more than just the weed. Like, I don't know, man. What disappointed me was if this was a young high school or college kid, I would say, all right, they grew up in the internet era. Paul Pierce is not from the internet era. Paul Pierce knows what it's like to exist before internet, dial-up, America Online. Everything isn't to be recorded, man. But you recorded yourself. So to me, I take Paul Pierce to be a reasonably smart guy. I feel like he knew what he was getting himself into, and it was probably about time to go anyway. The fans wasn't feeling him anyway. So, why not go out with a bang? And he might have went out with a few bangs, judging by that video.
Well, I believe, oh man, I believe there was speaking of bangs, I believe there was an offer for him to do an NBA show, like an adult type of NBA show with some dancers. Scruff, I think you dropped that in the chat. I'm gonna let you dive in on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, the way I see it is he can't lose. You know what I'm saying? He kept it real. The truth shall set you free, my friend. And that's exactly what he did, man. I'm proud of him, actually. But there's many things to dissect. I don't know if he intended to do that. I mean, this is the same guy. This is Paul Pierce. This is the same guy that had two phones on top of the other phone, man. He's obviously not that good with technology, man. You know what I'm saying? He's famous. He might have realized the implications of what was happening. Oh, I'm going to go live. If I hit it, whatever. I don't know. He didn't know what he was doing, maybe. Either way, the bed has been made. The truth is, no pun intended, but the truth is, he didn't do nothing that no one else wouldn't do. Like, he would have did the same thing anyone else did. The man that probably fired him in ESPN, man, woman, I don't even know who it is. Probably not woman then, maybe. But, probably a woman too. But, yeah, they wouldn't have done anything that a normal person wouldn't do. What was he doing? He was hanging around strippers. He was, smoking. You know what I'm saying? Strippers are athletes too, my friend. It takes a lot of athleticism to go up and down that pole. Don't be disrespectful. But I totally understand ESPN's standpoint. Like, yo, you just going, clean bait with him. I agree with Bryce though. I mean, he probably was already on the chopping block because honestly, if they were gonna fire him for something, they should have fired him for his terrible takes. But honestly, for this, I see it not as a fireable offense. But trust me, when it comes to being fired. Little inside tip. If y'all know me, y'all know. I done got fired like 9-10 times, man. And so the pro tip on being fired, man, yeah, organization will cut bait on you in that situation. But You will always land on your feet. Stay true to yourself, man. Paul Pierce, I want to say for somebody that keeps it real to another, I want to say, hey, man, come over to gas. If you don't want your job firing you because you out here in the video with the strippers and the blunts, that's all good, bro. Pass the blunt, pass the ones, Paul. You can come hang out with me any day, bro. You come on this show with gas anytime, bro. Holla at me.
Scruff, I think your idea of normal behavior and other people's idea of normal behavior might differ just a little bit. I don't have any personal issues with what Paul Pierce was doing. I think it was just in the comments, man. Why would you record yourself? Like T was saying, like you're from a generation where you should know, like you don't even need to do that. I'm kind of thinking, like Scruff was saying too, like did he do that on purpose? Was my man trying to just send that video to somebody and accidentally hit live? Like I'm kind of concerned for Paul Pierce and his well-being at that. Maybe he was hitting the blunt a little too hard. Who knows what was in his blunt? Who wrote it for him? That stripper that was throwing up the gang signs. I don't know, but stay blessed, Paul. Stay blessed.
Hey, I got a question.
Maybe he thought he was on Snapchat.
He thought he was on the wrong. He thought he was on the wrong. He was on the wrong service. He's on the wrong.
All these dang acts look the same.
hey, yo, but I got a question, man. What y'all think was the funniest part of the Paul Pierce video? Because I know for me, it was when he was in the comments and he was like, "Hey, Maya, you can come too." He was looking at the comments, trying to tell the shorty she need to make her way over there. I mean, my man is shot out right now, bro. What y'all think was the funniest part of? Or maybe it was when he was getting the haircut, bro. When he all of a sudden came out with the with the cape for the barber, man. My man's getting a fresh shape up on the IG live, bro. What y'all think was the funniest moment of this Paul Pierce video?
For me, it was just seeing my man chilling with the strippers, just dancing, like he was in the zone. He was in the zone.
Yeah, like the whole thing was funny. Like the whole thing almost was like a spoof of itself, almost. Like you just don't expect to see any of these ESPN guys just living like you would live if you was them, right? But just not on camera. So
living like
the
whole thing
they
was
are.
funny
To me, man. The girl was giving him massage, one dancing in the back. It was so random. The guy throwing chips, like the chips didn't have no value because you're not in Vegas. So you know what I'm saying? Like she can't really.
You know they had big bread on them chips, boy. That's one thing I'm sure of.
The whole thing was pretty silly, man. But he's telling people pull up, he just I don't know, man. That was Paul Pierce in college again, man, all over again.
Yeah, midlife crisis.
My man living good. My man living good, bro.
But let's keep it pushing, man. Let's get back to a little bit more of a sports oriented topic. We're gonna do one of my favorite segments personally is Hall of Fame or nah. It's actually one of my personal favorites, and today we're gonna do it on Chris Webber and Dwight Howard. We're gonna start with Chris Webber, and this is a very interesting one. My opinion, this is a guy who came in hot, had a Hall of Fame potential, and kind of fizzled out. Like I don't know where everyone's gonna land on this. I mean, we're talking about Chris Webber. He averaged about 20 points per game, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. But is he a Hall of Famer? Scruff, I'm gonna start with you on this.
All right, man. Y'all know me, man. Y'all know me. I watch tape, man. I don't care about stats. So forget them All-Star appearances, forget them stats. I'm just going off of feeling. You know what I'm saying? This is how I felt growing up watching Chris Webber. When I grew up, man, in the era where big men were king, like young man watching Karl Malone, young Hakeem the Dream. But I really grew up, and my favorite two players, I actually played position power forward. So my two favorite players growing up, besides Allen Iverson, at that position were Kevin Garnett and Chris Webber. They were the two best bigs in the league. I mean, Tim Duncan too, but he's just corny. So I mean, I like Chris Webber. I like Chris Webber a lot, bro. Chris Webber was the prototypical, he was the new breed of power forwards. He's athletic. He's a playmaker. He could, if it wasn't for Shaq and Kobe, those Kings teams would have won a championship. Those are championship caliber teams. So with all due respect, Chris Webber is definitely a Hall of Famer in my book. And also he's a Hall of Famer just in terms of basketball all around, man. Even though that Fab Five they didn't win anything, but they were transcendent upon changing the game. They were iconic. And that timeout was also iconic. You know, it's not necessarily like something that you want to like necessarily be probably mad about it, but he's like immortalized because of that timeout. You know what I mean? And in addition to his great career, man, we even had him on the Sixers for a couple years, and he was all right even then, man. Little gooseneck jumper, man. That mid range was like that. And you know, when he was that super athletic at his prime, Vlade Divac, Doug Christie, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic, that Kings team is one of the best teams that ever won championship, man, for real. But Chris Webber's getting in my book any day.
Okay, so we got one vote for Chris Webber in the Hall. T, is he getting your vote? Chris Webber to the Hall.
For sure. I'm actually not sure what Webber did to not get voted in. I feel like Webber probably should have been a first ballot guy. Just name alone. But I mean, like you said, man, Fab Five. I think he was Rookie of the Year, 5 All-Star games. He was a 20 and 10 guy. He's one of the original small ball fives, stretch fours. I don't know how you don't put Webber in. I mean, I guess he doesn't have the ring, right? And it's sad because I think that's what it comes down to a lot of times these days. But I mean, like you said, that was an era of big men. Rasheed Wallace, who I think isn't in as well. I know he played a little with Dirk. Webber's career spanned a time zone where there was the legend big men and then the new legend big men. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, all the way from Carmelo to Dirk. You know, so Webber played a long time, and I think he deserves to get in. My measure of an athlete at that level a lot of times is what their peers say about them. And everybody speaks fondly of C. Webb. They talk about how hard it was to guard him. You know, outside of a three-point shot, like a true three-point shot, he had everything else in his bag. He could even handle the ball a little bit. He averaged almost 5 assists, so he could pass. You gotta let him in. I don't know. They're trying to TL my man for some reason, but he should be in.
Shoot,
all right, Bryce,
better
what you
for
think?
Most.
Chris Webber, Hall of Fame.
He bagged Tyra. Like, that should get you in just off the strength. You had Tyra, bro.
He deserved it for that alone. Put him in even a different Hall of Fame for that one, huh? But no, I think Chris Webber got to be in. I think this is an easy one. I mean, I think Chris Webber's career, and don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a player, but I think it kind of reminds me of Patrick Ewing's a little bit in the sense that he just ran up against a team that was just way better than his team year after year after year. Patrick Ewing only made his only finals once Jordan and them sat out. He went up against Hakeem, and Hakeem got the chip, right? Chris Webber probably would have had the same situation if Kobe and Shaq would have sat out a year. I mean, the Kings was battling with the Lakers, but what seemed like every year. I don't know how off the top how many times he was in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. But he, you know, being a youngster in that age, it seems like it was every year almost. I mean, and then they used to battle. They definitely used to battle. Chris Webber was a dog. I mean, he had a 9-year stretch where he was averaging about 23, 24 points, 12 boards, almost 5 assists. That's pretty dominant for a 9-year stretch. I think the problem with some of these guys is that the recency effect, right? The most recent way you remember Chris Webber is like Scruff said, maybe on those Sixers teams, you know, and that wasn't really the same Chris Webber as a Kings Chris Webber. But he was definitely a baller, man. There's no question about it. I'm surprised he's not in the Hall of Fame already. Definitely getting snubbed. I think he's been eligible for about maybe 4 years now, maybe 4 or 5 years. I think it's 2013, so even longer than that. So definitely got to get Chris Webber in the Hall of Fame, man. Almost a travesty that he's not in, especially if you start looking at some of the names that make it in year after year. Chris Webber has better stats than him. So I think Chris Webber is on his way to the Hall of Fame. I don't think they can snub him too much longer.
So we're all in agreement that Chris Webber should be a Hall of Famer. I think, you know, his longevity hurt him a little bit, but do we think that the real reason he's not in right now is the lack of a ring?
Yeah, that's the only way. That's the only thing I can think of, man. Because outside of that, I mean, he was a dog. He's one of the funnest players to watch. Like I said, with that Kings team playing the Lakers. I don't know how old the viewers are, but if you played 2K or live back in the day, like Jason Williams-Stojakovic, Gerald Wallace was on that team at one point. He was dunking all over the place. That was a fun team to watch.
Yeah,
you know, there's actually maybe another reason why. Actually, now that I think about it, there might be some politics involved in why Chris Webber isn't in. Now that I think about it, you know, he had a big, long-standing beef with University of Michigan, with the NCAA. Essentially, you know, he kind of like, I guess he broke the code in a sense that he spoke out on, you know, being, you know, players getting played, and he kind of like he was. He kind of broke the code, to be honest, it's like, no disrespect, obviously it was unethical behavior, and, we all know what happens to the whistleblower. Typically, it doesn't usually end well for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some type of political reason why he's not getting in. But yeah, I don't know, man. I can't speak to this, to anything. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the voting circles or anything like that, but maybe something like that.
No, I think that's got to be a scruff. I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's got to be something deeper than just the basketball. I mean, because when you're looking at players like, and with all due respect, you take a Chris Mullin, right? He doesn't have an NBA championship. What I mean? He only made the All-Star team 5 years. He only has one All-NBA, one first-team All-NBA. That's identical to Chris Webber, right? So I think it's got to be something deeper than just the play on the court. It has to be. And it's sad that is the case. I know Chris Webber for a minute. Let's just be honest. He got labeled as a snitch. It is what it is. Everybody from the Fab Five, it was a huge fallout with those guys. They hated him, right? And then, don't get me wrong. It's not right or wrong. I'm not trying to play that card. But I'm just saying, like, that's got to be what it is at this point, because Chris Webber absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And when we bring it to the championship conversation, yeah, he doesn't have a chip. But in that era, most of the greats didn't have chips, because that's before you got to chip chasing. Bama's weren't chip chasing until they were on their very last leg. Now people are chip chasing in their prime. Things are a little bit different. We're really pretty soon we're gonna have to debate some Hall of Famers that really are fringe Hall of Famers, but that one chip, maybe two chips might get them in, where really if they didn't have that one chip, they wouldn't even be considered. So I mean, the game is changing. The qualifications are definitely changing right in front of our eyes for the Hall of Fame. And maybe Chris Webber's caught in the midst of that, but I think it's probably something more political.
Bryce, that's actually a good way to segue to this next player, because the qualifications are changing, and I'm a hard no on this player. I'm interested to see if someone can convince me otherwise on if Dwight Howard belongs in the Hall of Fame. It's a no for me. Convince me, man. Convince me.
Dwight Howard, 1,000% deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he took his team to the finals. I mean, he was the best big man of his era. Unfortunately, his career kind of took off when at the end of the big man dominance and the emergence of the guard play in the NBA. But that's not his fault. I mean, the guy is just a shot blocking, rebounding machine. I mean, the team that went to the championship had a bunch of guys you probably don't even remember their names, man. Like, Turkoglu and maybe Jameer Nelson. I can't even remember who was on that Orlando team. So Dwight Howard, man. I mean, he's not a fan favorite. He's a questionable character. Kobe didn't like him. He's had a little funny business off the court and on the court, if you ask me. But he should be in. All the numbers say he's the best center of his era.
His era, he's like the only center really. Very, very few centers in his era, but we can give him that crown. I'm still not convinced. Anybody else thinking Dwight Howard can be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, first of all, don't disrespect Jameer Nelson, or don't disrespect Hedo Turkoglu. And another name I want to drop on that team was Rashard Lewis. Very, very quality NBA players, man. Legends in their own rights. But I'm definitely putting Dwight Howard in the Hall of Fame, man. And if you would have ended his career earlier, you know what I mean, that would have been one thing. But I'm talking about the second run. It was like he got his second win, but his resume is impressive. We're talking about multiple-time defensive player of the year, multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time rebounding champ. This guy is, he was certified. And at that time, he was like the best big man in the league for a long stretch. I think his legacy gets a little tarnished when around the time when he went to LA the first time. It hurt his image a little bit, because the Mamba says you're weak, people ready to ride out on you and shit. And then he went to the Rockets, and it was forgettable type of years. But he re-established himself, in my opinion, with the late run. He was very, very important on the Lakers run last year. Now he's got a ring to show for it. This season with the Sixers, he's really been a glue piece to that Sixers team. He comes off the bench. He gets a ridiculous clip worth of rebounds at a ridiculous rate, and he's still glass protecting. When Joel Embiid's not in the game, Dwight Howard's in. It's literally the same thing. There's no difference. There's no drop off. defensively, in my opinion. And that's impressive, man. So I like what he's doing. And shit, he got a ring, and he may mess around and win another ring if the stars align properly. But I like him. I like Dwight Howard. I think he's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah, maybe that first run in LA really just soured me a little bit too much. But Bryce, what do you think, man? Dwight Howard Hall of Fame or nah?
Yeah, it's no question to me. I mean, I think Dwight deserves it more than Chris Webber, if I'm being honest. I mean, Dwight, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, an 8-time All-Star. I mean, blocks champion year after year. I think the biggest problem when you view Dwight's career is kind of that same thing, the recency effect. I don't think he played that big a role on the Lakers team. I think they probably win it with or without Dwight Howard. I think he is playing a lot larger role in this Sixers team this season. But I think when you start looking at Dwight Howard's last 6 years in the league, I mean, how many teams has he played for? Maybe as many years as he played. 6 years, 6 teams. I mean, he's been on the Hawks, been on the Wizards, Sixers, Lakers. I know I'm missing somebody that he was on. Who am I missing? There's another team he definitely played for. So, I mean, it's kind of, Dwight just started jumping around. And I think a part of that is that Dwight did not he didn't really advance his game too much. I think Dwight's ceiling was so high. Orlando Dwight Magic's ceiling, it was a glass ceiling. And he was unable to break through it, if I'm being honest. I think that's the biggest problem when people are viewing Dwight. They're looking at a guy that really didn't live up to his potential. I remember Kobe, once upon a time commenting on Shaq's laziness, right? But as lazy as Shaq was when he was with Kobe, he didn't really work as hard as he could have, but he still lived up to a whole bunch of his potential. You know what I mean? He was still he still was the most dominant offensive player regardless of that. And I think Dwight's the exact opposite. He don't get me wrong, when he was in Orlando, he was balling out of control. But after those years, it was almost like, he lost a little bit of his jumping ability, and it was like he just was nowhere near the same guy. And it's like, wait, you didn't learn a baby hook? Wait, you didn't learn any post moves? Wait, you didn't learn how to stretch the floor? You didn't learn how to create longevity to your career where you could still be making all NBA teams, still be making all-star games at this point? I mean, we look at some of these players, like you take a Chris Paul, for example. Chris Paul played around the same length as Dwight Howard, and he's in the MVP conversation, right? Dwight Howard's never mentioned in that type of talk anymore just because he didn't really advance his game. He stopped advancing his game. So I think that's the biggest knock against him. But when you're looking at that 7-8 year stretch, it's unreal, man. It's unreal, and it's hands down Hall of Fame worthy, in my opinion.
Okay,
can I add to that? Can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why everybody expect their center to shoot threes now, man? Stop with that, bro. Like, I want my center getting rebounds, getting blocks, and giving me second chance buckets, man. Like, the other stuff is auxiliary. Like,
yeah, I didn't say threes. I didn't say stretch the foot. But what I'm saying is, like, it's not necessarily about threes. This is about the fact that he didn't advance his game. Like, if you add a mid-range jumper, when your legs go, you can still your legs go a little bit. You can still be more effective, right?
All right, so I gotta pause you right there. Pause it right there. So the way you just broke it down, you just told me that Dwight Howard did not reach his full potential, but all three of you are telling me that this man belongs in the Hall of Fame. Is it Hall of Fame or not, or Hall of very great, Hall of really great potential that you don't hit? Like, is that the Hall that we're putting him in? Because I thought it was Hall of Fame, like best of the best. Like, how do you not reach your full potential? How do you not advance your game, but then you get put in the Hall of Fame?
Nah, man, I'm about to hit you with the Matumbo finger. Nah, because his potential was to be potentially the best center of all time, bro. Like, so it's all good. He didn't reach his potential.
How close did he come to that? How close did he come to that?
He's still one of the best centers of all time
of his generation.
Yeah, I knew he was going to hit me with that era. That counts for something, but
I give him that. He's one of the best centers of his generation, but it's no question that he didn't reach his potential. And, like, in my opinion, if somebody would have told me, 12, 15 years ago that Dwight Howard would have been what he is right now, I'd be like, you crazy. We always thought Dwight was going to continue to be a baller, bro. Like, I mean, it just didn't happen. And it hasn't happened now for about 6-7 seasons, of like this subpar production that's nowhere near what he was in Orlando. I'm just saying, if he did a little, it didn't take much. He could have added a few things to his game and made his career a spectacular career. Hands down, we wouldn't even have to have a Hall of Fame or not. End of the day, if we have to have a Hall of Fame or not on you, it's questions surrounding you. It's questions.
I mean, I think that's kind of what happened, right? He didn't develop his offensive package. Like, you want to think of these elite centers, the Embiids, Shaq, Hakeem, Ewing, Morning, guys you can go to for a bucket. And you couldn't consistently go to Dwight for a bucket. I mean, he couldn't shoot free throws. He didn't really have any tools other than to kind of muscle you. And the game kind of changed, right? Like you can't. The game became about spacing. You know, the era of the true big man that was dead, and that kind of happened on Dwight Howard like during his career. So he didn't really evolve with the game, and it kind of reduced him to a role player because he's still extremely athletic. You know, he still can rebound and block shots. He's still doing that with the Sixers, but
I feel like this segment is an oxymoron. My man so T, you've been telling me that he's the best center of his generation, and you literally just said that he killed the generation of the big man. Like it died on his watch. It died on his watch, bruh.
No. The Steph Currys of the world killed that. You know what I'm saying?
If Dwight would have advanced his game, and been the man that could have got a bucket, people still would have looked at the big man as valuable. He only wanted to play defense.
I disagree.
What's wrong with that though?
I disagree with T completely on this. I think Dwight actually started this generation of spreading the floor. I mean, if you think back to those Orlando Magic teams, it was Dwight Howard and 4 guys that could shoot the lights out. That's all you needed. You needed Dwight Howard in the middle. Every other guy served no other purpose but to shoot threes. Literally, a Rashard Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu, Jameer Nelson. These were straight fire flame shooters, bro. All you needed was Dwight in the middle. I think he really kind of started that era. The biggest problem is he just never evolved his game. Once he lost, don't get me wrong, he's still a very athletic player. But in his prime, the dude he could jump and his eyes would be over the rim every time. He was catching oops, and all you had to do was throw it near the rim, and he was coming down with the hammer. Once that's changed a little bit, once those knees got a little bit, got a little weak, it's almost like he just was nowhere near the same dude, man. And I think that just comes down to not adding any real-time skills. It was all predicated on athleticism. I think he got exposed for that. But either way, one of the best centers, still one of the best centers, and I'll say it, still one of the best centers of all time.
I just got one question for y'all, man. Bill Russell. Would y'all consider Bill Russell one of the best centers of all time? Yes or no?
I mean, for his time period, yes.
Yeah, but it's not like I watched Bill Russell.
Right,
break him down.
All right, well, all I know is Bill Russell only averaged about 15 points a game, man. And people said they're one of the best centers of all time. You don't have to be a great scorer to be a great center, bro. But if you're an elite defensive, elite rim protector, elite rebounder, and you just get it done, man. I just think that there's
come on, bro. That's Bill Russell slander right there. Bill Russell got 11 chips and 5 MVPs, man. It's not comparable to Dwight Howard the other day.
Yeah,
I feel where you're going with that, but you really can't compare that, bro. Like it's
Dwight Howard
nowhere near Bill Russell, bro. Come on,
man. If Bill Russell played in this era, he would be Dwight Howard.
You don't know that. We don't know that. And I don't like comparing those type of eras that far removed from each other. Bill Russell got 11 NBA championships, 5 NBA MVPs, and he was going against Bama's like Wilt Chamberlain, young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, older George Mikan. Like, come on, bro. Bill Russell's an all-time great, man. I can't compare him to Dwight Howard. But if we're ranking centers, if Bill Russell's top 3 of all time, Dwight Howard's in that 7 to 10 range. You know what I'm saying? He's flirting with Alonzo Mourning, maybe right below Patrick Ewing type, I'd say he's better than Mutombo all time. Like, and Mutombo's in the Hall of Fame. So, Dwight Howard has a hell of a career, bro.
I can't put him over Mutombo or Alonzo.
I can't put him over Mutombo.
Y'all can't put him over Mutombo? All right, man. I don't know, bro. Late Mutombo wasn't. Come on, bro. I don't know. I'll put him over Mutombo.
No. Nah, Mutombo's legend in my book, man. Now, he definitely have him over Dwight Howard. That's just me.
Hey, let's put it like this. If Dwight Howard would have retired 11 years in, we wouldn't have to have a Hall of Famer now conversation about him. If he would have had an 11-year career, we would have looked at him as one of the greatest centers of all time, no question. It's just that he drew his career out and it hurt him. It hurt.
He's still the first.
Yeah, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that.
There's no centers behind him, so he's the first ballot.
I agree. I mean, you got to give it to Dwight Howard, man. Come on, I feel like Dwight is also an easy target, bro. He kind of made himself an easy target. Like he's a polarizing guy, bro. People either really like Dwight Howard, even when he was playing. People either really like Dwight Howard or they couldn't stand Dwight Howard. I remember when he first started, Shaq hated him. You know what I'm saying? Then he went and linked up with Kobe. Kobe ain't really rock with him. It was just Dwight was a polarizing guy, and I think some of that was he was a nice guy. You know what I mean? Centers were never nice guys, but Dwight was, he was a good, fun-loving character, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand too. Dwight was a kid when he came in. You know what I'm saying? Dwight grew up as an NBA star, and he had fun. Where a guy like Kobe, a couple other guys that came in, KG, they were kind of more concerned about the basketball. Dwight was just he always seemed to be enjoying himself. Even through the criticism, he tried to put a smile on, and he got in the dunk contest. Some of y'all favorites would never get in a dunk contest. So we're not gonna start with the Dwight slander, man.
Yeah. The Dwight slander don't even sound right when you look at his stretch, bro. That 7, 8 year stretch, man. It's hard to even slander that man, bro. He was a baller, bro. He was a baller for a good amount of time. But let's keep it pushing, man. Let's transition from the NBA over to the league, the NFL, man. Let's get into it. Couple big time moves. I don't know how big time it is considering, but Sam Darnold was traded from the Jets to the Panthers. Want to get some instant reactions on this. Are you buying or selling Sam Darnold to the Panthers? I'm going to start with my guy, Young Rome 22. Zarek.
Oh, this is a big sell for me, man. I do not see how Sam Darnold makes the Panthers any better. Not any better than Teddy Bridgewater. It's a lot of pressure on the head coach, Matt Rule, to me. You got the quarterback you wanted. You traded some picks away. Let me see what you're going to do. I believe in Sam Darnold. I think he's a solid quarterback. I was big on him before the draft. And I like the Panthers. I like Bridgewater over there. I think he's kind of getting a raw deal. Maybe that's a topic for another time. We'll see where he ends up landing. But as far as Darnold actually going to the Panthers, I would sell that. I don't think it makes them contenders or really moves the needle at all. And as far as the Jets getting picks, if I'm the Jets, I guess I'll buy that. But if I'm a Jets fan, what do you have to buy or sell anyway? You're the Jets. You're just there.
That's vicious, man. I think I feel you though, bro. I think Teddy Bridgewater is the biggest loser in this Sam Darnold deal. And I don't think there's any real proof that Sam Darnold is going to outplay Teddy. Teddy might, if this is an open competition, Teddy might mess around and beat him for that job. So moving around the circle, man, T Boogie, what you think about this Sam Darnold to the Panthers? Are you buying or are you selling?
I gotta. This is tough, man, because I'm not a Matt Rule guy, but Joe Brady's had some success. I do like Darnold. I loved him coming into the league. I hate that he had to go to the Jets. I don't think anybody would have thrived there. But I'm gonna buy this, right? Because if not, that's the type of trade to get you fired, right? Why bring in Darnold? As a young coach, a new coach, you already have Brady. You potentially are in a spot where you can trade up or stand pat and get a quarterback, but you traded away picks to get Darnold. To me, that signals that you intend on starting him. I know they let Bridgewater pursue a trade, so to me, that signals that they're fine with Bridgewater walking. They're going to move on with Darnold. I don't think there's going to be a competition. I don't rule out the Panthers still drafting a quarterback, but I don't know, man. I don't think the Panthers are a good team. I don't think they'll win with or without Darnold or Bridgewater. I think this is – I don't know, man. I don't get it. I think this is better for the Jets, right? The Jets, we knew they weren't playing Darnold next season. The draft officially starts at 3 with the 49ers. We know the Jets are going Wilson now for sure. And I think this is a smart decision for the Jets, man. If you can't use a player, let them go. Don't hold on to them. Like, stop trying to salvage these guys. Cut bait and go. It's worked for the Patriots for a lot of years.
There's some good points there. And I do agree with you. I think this is a move that ties you to this guy, especially when you pick up this 5th-year option on the guy. They traded a second-round pick, a second-round pick and a 4th-round pick next season, and a 4th-rounder for this year's draft. And if you add those picks up on the draft chart, it equals a late first-rounder. So, essentially they traded a late first-rounder to bring in Sam Darnold, picked up the 5th-year option. That ties you to him for at least 2 years. You got to think if you pick up the 5th-year option, you're going to end up re-signing him if you like what you see. So, hey, man, they're tied to this guy now, like it or not, Panthers fans. We'll see how it ends up. Scrub Lion, let's hear it, man. You buying or selling Sam Darnold to the Panthers?
Well, it looks like I'm going to be the only person that's going to buy this move. And I like the move, actually. And I'll break down why. I mean, it makes sense why the Jets want to cut bait with them. You know, they want to get close to a first-round pick value, but they got a second rounder, a fourth, and a sixth, right? I like the move because of this, man. Basically, the way that this situation looks at, man, I love Teddy Bridgewater. Y'all know I like Teddy. But I'm a really big fan of Joe Brady offense. I thought he was a great head coaching candidate, and I was excited to see him potentially, move on to a head coaching job. But he's back in Carolina. I think that basically they know enough about Teddy Bridgewater. They've seen what they needed to see in practice from him. And they know he's not really the long, strong arm quarterback that really would really thrive in that system. So, I think they brought in a guy like Darnold who, just was a few years removed from being the top quarterback prospect, arguably in that class that had Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Josh Rosen, who obviously fell off the face of the earth. But pretty solid overall, and things didn't work out for him. He had a tumultuous tenure with the Jets, never really had any help. He had a guy that was supposed to be an offensive guru, Adam Gase, and he was one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen in my life. He had a rough go, man. So my thing is this, man. People are so quick to call somebody a bust, but you're a bust based on certain situations and everything that you have around you. But when you're a GM, you might look at a guy, see a guy that was a really, really good prospect, and then now, 3 years later, you have a guy that's been through a little bit of, ups and downs, has learned some things, got some life experience for him, and now you got a prospect that is still a little bit more ready to play than a guy that you could draft in the first round. And let's not say that they won't draft a quarterback in the first round. They may, but where they're at on the board, who knows what's going to be left at quarterback? Because I expect quarterbacks to go 1, 2, and 3. So they have a lot of flexibility. If they want to pick a quarterback, if they're right quarterbacks on the board, maybe a guy like Trey Lance, maybe a guy like, Fields, we'll see. But I think Darnold, this is a do or die year for him. You said it, Bryce. He's on the 5th-year option, right? That means if he doesn't play well, they can cut bait with him. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you said that's cost of doing business nowadays with quarterbacks is subway around a first-round pick. So, jury's out, but Joe Brady's offense, I'm a believer in that offense. And if he can make it work anywhere, this is the place for it. So, I buy it.
Yeah, they definitely locked themselves in, man. They're gonna have Darnold this year. They'll have him the next as well, after picking up that option. So we'll see if he's able to thrive. I think one thing that is in his favor is, Adam Gase left. Ryan Tannehill left Adam Gase, ended up turning into a baller. If Sam Darnold leaves Adam Gase, ends up turning into a baller, there's no question who we have to point the finger at. But, I got to sell this because when I look at quarterbacks, the very first thing I always look at is I point directly to the completion percentage. When I pull up quarterback stats, I don't look at the yards, I don't look at the touchdowns, I don't look at the picks. I look at how often were you completing passes. That tells me how quickly you were reading the field, how high your awareness is. And Sam Darnold has had 3 seasons in the NFL, 2 of those seasons under 60%. When I see passing completion percentage in the 50s, I already know what time it is. That signals to me that you really can't play. Now, his only season above 60%, he was hovering around 61%. That tells me that was your best year. That tells me you haven't really put it together, and you're not really the type of guy that has that potential to really put it together. Because at the end of the day, man, we know these quarterbacks pretty quickly. Rarely, I guess Tannehill's an exception, but even Tannehill had a couple really good seasons with the Dolphins. I mean, he had some seasons where he was 65% completion, throwing 4,000 yards in a season with the Dolphins. You know what I mean? And Darnold never reached that. Darnold's never gotten close to that, honestly. His touchdown interception ratio has been horrible. Every advanced metric says that this guy does not have it. But he's getting another shot, unfortunately, at the expense of my guy, Teddy B, man. So, like I said, if it's a straight-up competition, I don't put it past Teddy B to beat him out, but they end up trading him. I guess that ship is sailed. So keeping it pushing, man. Quarterback carousel has been a pretty big theme of the show. Every week we talk about the NFL. And, these quarterbacks that are available right now, there's I guess we could call it a big 3. Then you got 2 other guys kind of sitting outside of that big 3 that make it kind of like a 5 quarterbacks kind of really to discuss in this upcoming NFL draft. So let's get into it, man. And I'm going to start with T Boogie on this one because obviously your 49ers made the biggest splash when it comes to, quarterbacks in this draft by trading up to the number 3 pick. Most of the reports are saying that, they're trying to get Mac Jones, which to a lot of people, including yourself, sounded a little crazy, right? So let's start with you, T, man. What do you think about that number 3 pick do you think it'll be Mac Jones that the 49ers select?
Me and Scruff went back and forth about this. I don't want it to be Mac Jones. A lot of 49ers fans don't want it to be Mac Jones, but as they claim that he's the most NFL ready. I wanted to be Trey Lance. The guy has big time potential. Fields has potential. I don't really trust Ohio State quarterbacks. Braxton Miller, Terrell Pryor, JT Barrett, Cardale Jones. The list goes on. I don't trust that that tree. So I'm Trey Lance. But I don't know what Cal's going to do. But I know if you take a guy like Mac who doesn't really represent where the league seems to be going with guys that can also make plays on their legs, make plays outside the pocket. You take a guy like that and you don't win with a team that appears to be ready to make another Super Bowl run. Everybody's coming back healthy. You can get Kyle, Lynch, somebody can get fired like that. So I'm hoping it's not Mac. I think the pick is Fields or Lance. I think that Mac is the smoke signal.
And that would be a hell of a smoke signal because it seems like that smoke has gotten everywhere. But you know the old verbiage, T, where there is smoke, there is fire. Lions, what do you think about that? Yeah, that's another one where you're hitching your wagon to somebody that may or may not have the capabilities. Scrub, what do you think about? You were the first guy that kind of came on our radar with the Mac Jones news. What do you think about Mac Jones? What do you think about the rest of these quarterbacks? Let's just open the table up and have a quarterback conversation.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Mac Jones, I just trust my sources, man. I mean, that's my biggest thing. I trust my sources, man, and my sources told me that they were high on Mac Jones. So that's what I'm going with, bro. My sources is never wrong. Not often, anyway. Yeah, I mean, I like Mac Jones a lot, bro. We talk about the league changing, T, but didn't Tom Brady just win the Super Bowl last year? I think pocket quarterbacks are doing just fine. Mac Jones is your definition of a pocket quarterback. Bryce talk about completion percentage. Talk about tape. Mac Jones is a guy that was just throwing dimes left and right. Bryce said it before. He was more productive with those receivers than Tua was, and everybody loved Tua. You know what I'm saying? Everybody loved Tua. So where's the Mac Jones love at? And it seems like it's coming along just fine. And I think for a team like the 49ers, who are a great defense, you could take a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. I think Mac Jones is the right guy. Huge arm talent. You got a guy that's a true winner. You need to win. Like that's the end of the day. You got a game manager right now. So a guy that's got the intangibles and can win. I like it. I like it a lot. I like Trey Lance, but I think that he's got the boom or bust potential. I could see him being really, really good as a pro, but I'm not sure. And thing about Wilson is I don't know if he's battle tested enough. I think he's had a pretty smooth route, and it's been nothing but sunshine and roses for my man so far. And if he gets drafted by the New York Jets, you're going to be smelling a whole nother different aroma when you step into that building. And I don't know if he's going to be able to handle it. So I think he's got the biggest bust potential. But I'd say if you talk about boom potential, I think I like Trey Lance a lot. But Trevor Lawrence is a can't miss prospect. You can't miss on him. But Mac Jones, he's a very, very solid quarterback. I think he could be the piece that the 49ers need. And just say, just so I have it on record, I'm going to go ahead and say it, man. Mac Jones is going to get drafted by the 49ers. They're high on him. That's Kyle Shanahan's guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know one thing. When Kyle Shanahan has a guy, he doesn't waste any time going and getting him. I can respect that from Kyle Shanahan, man. When he identifies what he wants, he goes out and grabs it. Rome, man, we moving to you, bro. Quarterbacks, let's break them down. Let's hear something. Let's have a little debate on these guys, man. Who do you think is the top QB in this draft, and who do you think has the most bust potential, Rome?
The top QB is not even really debatable. It's got to be Trevor Lawrence. We could probably just take him out the conversation. He's going to Jacksonville. Zach Wilson's probably obviously going to the Jets now. Scruff already alluded to it. It's where quarterbacks go to die. I said it in the last segment. I just looked at a list of the quarterbacks the Jets have had in my lifetime. It's laughable. Mac Jones. We could debate if he's the best guy for the 49ers to draft or not, but I tend to agree with Scruff. Everything that I've looked at says that he's going to the 49ers. T, I'll send you the jersey in the mail. We got Trey Lance and Justin Fields to round this thing out. My hot take or my bold prediction, so to speak, for the draft, I think all five of these guys are going to go in the top 10. I don't think one of them falls out of the top 10. Maybe that's not that bold, but I think all five of them will be gone by the time we get to the seventh or eighth pick. Um, but the most bust potential, I'm gonna go Zach Wilson, and not just because he's going to the Jets. He's kind of a 1 year wonder. I mean, he kind of came on really last season. Wasn't talked about too much before that, as you know, at least not like this. And I'm not big on guys that have one good year in college. Other than Cam Newton. Other than that,
Joe
I mean,
Burrow.
like, yeah, I'm not big on my guy Joe. Mitchell Trubisky is the guy that comes to mind who had one hot season in college, and all of a sudden everybody wants to jump up draft picks and trade away other quarterbacks who are probably more valuable to get a guy who's not really proven. But we'll see, man. I mean, maybe the Jets will turn it around one day. They're a lot like the Knicks in my mind, and they're just one of those franchises where it doesn't really matter. So the biggest bust potential I would say is Zach Wilson, and potentially Mac Jones. So I see T's fear in the 49ers drafting Mac Jones. I don't know if he's the guy, but I'm not Kyle Shanahan. I didn't blow any Super Bowl losses when I was the OC for the Falcons or anything like that. So maybe that man knows something I don't about Mac Jones, but I would say
Hey,
him or Zach Wilson for the biggest bust potential.
I'll add this to the Mac Jones conversation. If he falls to Carolina, oh, best believe that's a playoff team.
Yeah,
I mean, look,
maybe.
Mac Jones, to me, has the most bust potential. Like, he scares me the most out of this whole class because, again, he's the only guy that can't get it done, you know what I'm saying, with his feet. And if you watch his tape, right, this is how I judge quarterbacks coming out of college. One, where they land, what team they land with. Obviously, if he goes to San Francisco, that's a great destination for a rookie quarterback. Defense, running game. But how did you do when there was pressure? Because when you go to the pros, a lot of those pockets aren't clean. A lot of times there's a hand in your face. You got to move. And he moves well in the pocket. He climbs the pocket. He doesn't really feel the pressure. But when you look at the footage, how often did he even get pressure? He's throwing a Heisman Trophy winner. He's throwing a receivers that people think will make multiple Pro Bowls. I think it was really easy for him in college. A 1-year wonder type of guy also. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't like – I don't like his tape. Nothing really popped to me. I thought the ball placement was pretty well, but I also thought a lot of the throws, you're throwing to like superstars and just no pressure, man. It's almost like a drill at that point. You know, nobody hitting you. You're not beat up. When you get to the league, man, defensive ends are coming to kill you. And linebackers are blitzing up the A-gap. I didn't see him navigating that at all in Alabama, and that's the pro game. So that's my biggest issue with him. And he doesn't have the arm strength that anybody else in that top 5 has. All those other guys, man, can sling it. Mac is kind of just I don't know, man. He reminds me of a Andy Dalton, maybe a Matt Ryan. I don't know, man. But it's hard to watch Matt Ryan. I mean, it's hard to watch Mac Jones to me and get excited because all I see is amazing talent around him in college.
Of the top quarterbacks not named Trevor Lawrence, I would probably lean towards Trey Lance or Justin Fields over anyone else. Probably Trey Lance.
Well, I mean,
Lance?
I gotta go back to Mac Jones right now because, man, the Mac slander is real, bruh. It's kind of crazy to me. You talking about a guy that's fresh off a chip, you know, like I alluded to, Scruff alluded to. He did more with what Tua had. Everybody loved Tua, but Mac Jones did far more with the same guys. And I don't really view Mac as a 1-year wonder because when he stepped in for Tua after Tua got hurt the year before, it was no drop off. In fact, you know, those receivers look just as good, if not better. I think Mac Jones, to me, he's actually the safest quarterback prospect. I guess I can't put him over Trevor Lawrence when it comes to safe quarterback prospects, but yeah, I can't do that. But I would say he's the second safest quarterback prospect in my opinion. I don't see Mac Jones being a bust. You just compared him to Matt Ryan. If he is anything like Matt Ryan, that's an MVP of the league. So, I mean, I feel like that's a great situation. If he's Matt Ryan and he lived up to everything he was supposed to, you know what I mean? I think Rome made a great point, too, about these 1-year wonders at quarterback. You got to be wary of that. And that's the only thing that worries me about my guy, Trey Lance. Trey Lance, I'm super high on. In fact, going into the season, I thought there was a chance he could, possibly beat out Trevor Lawrence for that top spot. I thought there could be some real controversy up top of the draft if Trey Lance had a full season and performed the same way he did the year before. We're talking about in 2019, a guy that had 28 touchdowns, 0 interceptions en route to a championship. My NFL comparison for Trey Lance, he reminds me a ton of Colin Kaepernick, but with even more underneath accuracy. He's a far better underneath passer, but in the run game, he reminds me a lot of Colin Kaepernick. He can make things happen with his feet, and it's like you just look up and he's already halfway down the field with his strides. To me, he's got the best arm in this draft, and I think in his pro day, he wasn't super accurate, but when you watch his deep ball on tape, it's hella accurate. I mean, it's like unbelievably accurate. And sometimes you're looking at his tape, like how did guys drop that? I'm really high on Trey Lance. In fact, I got him as my number one target for my Washington football team at the moment. I would love for us to trade up and try to nab Trey Lance. And a lot of people think he needs to sit for a year. I don't think so. I think he can be thrown right into the fire. I think he eventually develops into a Josh Allen type of quarterback where he can beat you with his feet. He can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his feet. Maybe it takes him a year or two to really, capitalize on his passing ability. But I'm super high on Trey Lance. I think a guy that's also getting kind of shitted on right now is Justin Fields, man. Like Justin Fields, for a minute, people would think he could be a number one pick. And this is coming off his off last year. People were saying, hey, Justin Fields might be number one pick. This year he balled out. He only had maybe 2 bad games. I think one of them was against Indiana where he didn't look too sharp. But Justin Fields is a baller, man. He's the best running quarterback in this draft. I think he's fresh off running like a 4.42 or 4.45. Man, the boy's got speed. There's character concern, but to me, those are kind of out of left field because everything I had heard leading up to this point was that Justin Fields had sterling character. So, I know some of these schools, including Alabama, you got to kind of hesitate when you're trusting one of their quarterbacks. And there's not really ever been an Ohio State quarterback to really thrive in the next level. Talking about Cardale Jones, Dwayne Haskins. What's my guy's name that won the Heisman that year? I don't know.
Terrell Pryor, Braxton Miller, JT
Barrett. They've had a lot. They've had a long list, man. But I think Justin Fields, especially when you're talking about this guy might like Justin Fields because his name is Justin. Are you just going with him because your name is Justin too, guy? I don't know. But Justin Fields is definitely a dog, man. I think he's one of those guys that can come in, help immediately because he has the elite speed and he can really get it done with his legs.
Yeah, you mentioned them character issues, man. It's really a double standard, man. I've seen something earlier that really irritated me. Is just talk about Justin Fields and saying that he has character issues, and I just feel like that's one of those like microaggressions, one of those code words that they use to pretty much like keep a brother down, more or less. But they talking about character issues, and I love Mac Jones and shit, but. Mac Jones got multiple DUIs. Ain't nobody talking about that. And I ain't trying to slander my man. I ain't trying to mess up your bag, homie. I'm just saying, bro, you gonna call the quiet bro that really ain't. I never heard nothing bad about Justin Fields ever. But ain't nobody heard nothing about these 2 DUIs. I know personally, if I had 2 DUIs in my history, I would be a little concerned. If I was your mother, I would be concerned. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I mean, man. Anybody can go out there and throw the Waddle and Smith hungover. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to draft that guy.
Nah, but I will add though. Bryce talked about completion percentage. I know it's college, but 77% completion percentage is absurd. And 41 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. Really, really productive, bro. Really.
I watched the game where 3 interceptions were dropped. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. Obviously, if he goes to the 49ers and he wins, right, I'll be on it. I'll be team Mac. But, just if we look at quarterback straight up, Mac he has a high floor. He looks like he can come in and run a huddle right now. But he has the lowest ceiling out of all of these guys, right? You said he's probably the safest pick. Safe picks get you fired in the NFL. That's just what it is, man.
These quarterbacks are getting overanalyzed because it's draft time and they're quarterbacks. This draft is a lot like the E.J. Manuel, Jake Locker draft. Like these guys are not gonna be around, with the exception of maybe 2 of them. 2 of them. I see 3 busts.
Hey, you're making a good point right there, Rome. I think we could see one of these later quarterbacks end up being maybe not the best because you do have a Trevor Lawrence and you do have a Trey Lance, who are both gonna be good in my opinion. But there's some later quarterbacks. You talk about a guy like Kellen Mond, talk about a guy like Davis Mills.
Kyle
Trask, I'm not too high on, but that's another guy that, he was doing work in the SEC. And I do think that, we could see a situation, one of these quarterbacks is ranked a little bit lower on the totem pole, comes in and ends up being the best guy. My guy in that regard would be Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond is my dude, man. If y'all haven't seen the Kellen Mond tape, you should check it out. Very accurate passer, pretty good deep ball, and he has legs too. So I like Kellen Mond a lot. But we can see one of these lower quarterbacks, come up and end up being the best from this class. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, who was saying what about Russell Wilson at this time, the year that he got drafted?
I will tell you, my boy, man, my best friend, my boy Mark. He told me during that draft that Russell Wilson was the best quarterback, and it wasn't even close. And I wasn't hearing it, but he knew what he was talking about. I need to get his take on these quarterbacks.
He must be the one that gave you that crystal ball.
Nah.
Nobody will ever believe me, but I was pretty high on Russell Wilson too. I wanted the Eagles to draft him, but he actually got picked a little early in the third round. We couldn't snatch him.
Russell definitely ended up being a baller, man. One thing about Russell, my guy leveraged his NFL stardom and got him a superstar wife. So shout out to my guy Russell Wilson, man. He gets a lot of hate. It seems like he's another polarizing guy. You either love him or you hate him, but I rock with the boy Russ. Let's keep it moving, man. I don't know how in tune, some of you viewers are with social media discussions. But there's been a big social media discussion going around today. There was a Twitter post with a guy and a girl, and they were looking very, very cuddled up, in the pictures. They had arms around each other, real close, looking like a couple. And then the caption of the post, it said, "Let's normalize friendship dates." So my question for you guys is, today's culture topic, man, is should we be normalizing friendship dates? What do you guys feel about this, man? If you're down with letting your lady go on a friendship date, what are the parameters to said date, man? You want to see her cuddled up in a couple pics with the homie? Homie? I don't know, man. I want to hear you guys take. Rome, start with you, bro. How do you feel?
Go ahead and start with me, because I got something to say about this one. I mean, I would consider all three of you fellas friends. G, Chris, everybody at Gas, I consider a friend, right? Like we're friends, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. But I'm a married man, and none of y'all are going anywhere with my wife Dolo, bro. Like that's a hard no. Like, right, I'm gonna let you know right now. Like there will be no friendship dates with my wife and Bryce or T or like what? Come on, what?
I thought it was mine is yours, homie.
Oh no, we ain't that close. All right, so this is the thing. This is my take on the friendship dates. You got to be like more than a friend if you're gonna go somewhere with my wife. It has to be like a brotherly relationship. Like the DNA is the same. Like I have to trust you, bro. Like and I, as much as I hate to say it, like y'all aren't on that list. There's probably maybe 2 people that I would trust to go somewhere alone with my wife. Like other than that, it's just not happening. Now, anybody out there who's doing that, if you have that strong trust in your relationship, you're about to break it, because this is a mistake. I'm telling you now, it ain't no such thing as a friendship date. Platonic friends, you got to learn those lessons on your own.
Man, I could not agree with you more, Rome. I think you hit the nail on the head, bro. Like when you're talking about, especially when you're talking about your wife, there shouldn't be any doing that, in my opinion. And I think one of the things I've been seeing on social media is, on both sides, men and women commenting, when someone has your opinion, they're saying, "Oh, well, it's your own insecurities. Don't be mad because you're insecure. Your masculinity can't take it." I don't know if there's a question my masculinity can't take it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to hear T Boogie's opinion on this, man. T, should we be normalizing the friendship date with the homie?
I mean, no. I mean, honestly, just because one thing I don't like about this generation, it's a double-edged sword. Like they want to normalize everything. You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna normalize friendship dates, like we might as well just normalize cheating. You know what I'm saying? Let's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not? Like a friendship date, maybe I don't understand the definition of the word, because I thought a date was when, meant you're dating. So I don't, if we're friends and we're dating, nah, man. Like as a married guy, I can't really see my wife getting dressed up and putting the makeup on and all in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Got the music playing in the background. To go out on a date without me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all friends, we friends. What's up, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, what we get for the appetizer? Like, but no, it's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. If that's your thing and it works in your relationship, then go ahead, do it. You know what I'm saying? But just off the top of my head, I'm gonna just say, nah, man. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna date your friend, please do it in private. Like, just
Man, I think I'm with you, man. Friendship date to me sounds like somebody that's trying to earn their way out of the friend zone. So they're gonna take her out on as many friendship dates until they get up out the friend zone.
I mean, the crazy part is, like, it wasn't even just like, hey, I'm out at Fridays, pull up. It was a whole. My man was dressed up. He had a suit. She had a slit up to her thigh. You know what I'm saying? Up to her hip. That's a little more than a date. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Yeah,
that's a little more than a date.
And I guess my next question is, who pays for the friendship date? Because this is just straight friendship. We going half on this, right? I don't know the parameter. If Buddy is paying for the friendship date, he's definitely trying to earn his way about the friend zone. Scrub Lion, man. What's your opinion on the friendship date, man? Should this be normalized?
Well, there's like a lot of like factors that play. So like, you know, I'll be first to say, like, you know, I've had a friend, like, you know, that we've gone to like lunch together. You know what I'm saying? Like a lunch date. You know, I was, you know, that's, you know, you're single. But if you're in a relationship, nah, that ain't going down. That ain't gonna go down. And the damn sure ain't going down like the way it was going down in the pictures. Like he said, home all dressed up, so he got the slit. You know what I'm saying? It was very, 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 very comfy. You know what I'm saying? And, you know what I'm saying? From what it looked like, I don't know. Based on what I see in the picture and everything I see going on, man, you know, seemed like dude like her. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So, but it just seemed like a little bit more was going on there. But, yeah, I agree with you, Rome. That ain't going down. I know relationship. But, yeah, I think this is all a plot by women to try to get more free food. It's a free food. It's a setup, bro. It's a setup, man. It's a setup. They try to get the free food off you, and the brothers that's out here falling for the okie doke. Hey, God bless you. They ain't my money, so that's all I gotta say, man. You know what I'm saying? That's corny. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I can understand. I'm not saying it ain't a masculinity thing. Like I have lunch dates with friends that are females. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's a different situation. I'm not saying that women can't do that or whatever. It's different, bro. You don't go dressed like that. You know what I'm saying? Nah,
yeah,
that don't make no sense.
I feel like I gotta clarify because it's definitely not an issue of not being mature enough or masculinity. Like the way that date was, that's all kinds of lines being crossed like instantly, bro. Like if you show up in a suit, like it's one thing if you have lunch with a coworker or some like casual like friendship type shit, but like if homie shows up in a suit and he's got you flowers or something, like what was going on in that picture, bro? Like he's obviously got other plans. Like, come on now, we're all adults. We know what's going on.
They all cuddled up in the pics, man. Like they don't look like too much. They got the hand around the waist. You can call it friendship if you want, but that headlock looks a little too friendly for friendship, in my opinion.
Maybe I've been out the game too long. Maybe y'all can help me because y'all single. Like as the friend, is that what's up now? Like you taking somebody else's girl on a date and then that's it? You paying for my lady? You taking her out for me now? So she gonna come home, she gonna be all wind up, lick it up, and I'm gonna reap all the benefits and you paid for the meal? Like that's what's up now as a single man? Like you sitting there back to me.
You're not really testing my masculinity, like you testing my patience. Like when it's like 10:30, I'm looking like, where you at? Like 10:45, it's 11, it's 12, it's 1. Like, come on, man. Imagine a one-on-one date. She come back in at 2 a.m. talking about I had the best night of my life. Like
the date was great. And you like, how was your date, honey?
Right.
Nah, y'all. Like I don't think there's any way that this could possibly apply. It only can apply to single people because there's no possible way that this could exist.
With two single people, I think it's a really dope concept. If it's two single people, why not, man? But when you start getting into the relationships and the marriages and a lot,
and we gotta flip this the other way too.
I love a good date.
What if the ladies gonna let their man go out on a friendship date?
Probably not. You know? What if your lady, you know what I mean? let's just say she had a one of those male best friends, years before you knew her. You know what I mean? And that's something that they always did. Is there any difference with that? Does it change a little bit in your mind, or are you like, nah, that line cannot be crossed? What y'all think about that?
I think it's still the same. Like all right, from what I understand about cheating in my storied history, right? Cheating cheating is a situation of opportunity a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? It's not always
not about doing it.
I like this person. I'm mad at this person. I don't want to be with this person. Sometimes it's literally just a situation of opportunity and liquor. And next thing you know, boom, fireworks. You know what I'm saying? You done got yourself into a situation that, might get you out on the street. But so it's dangerous either way. I think it would take all parties involved to have like extreme discipline and self-control. And I just don't think it's it just doesn't. What's the purpose?
Are we saying that men and women around each other can't exhibit any self-control if they're,
I mean, check the scoreboard. Like
look, playing devil's advocate, man. Y'all know how I feel about
check
this.
The scoreboard. I mean,
somebody gotta play the devil's advocate.
As much as people push monogamy, like check the scoreboard. You know what I'm saying? Check. Cheating is, I'm not gonna say it's at an all-time high, but it's blatantly apparent now that we have the internet, right? And now that everyone has all these options, you can just swipe left, swipe right, and find the next person. So it's just you just getting yourself into a bad situation, man. It's probably better to just not go on that date. And if you are, bro, cheat in private. Like, come on, man. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass your girl. You know what I'm saying? Mess around, get your best friend beat up by your girl. Now you lost your best friend and your girl.
Don't be like Paul Pierce. Put yourself on IG if you out here.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. If it's two single people, then yeah, enjoy yourself. Like it's nobody's accountable to anybody. But you know what I'm saying? Taking another man's wife or girlfriend out is risky. It's just risky.
Yeah, I mean, and the deeper question is, can men and women have platonic friendships? And I'm a firm believer in no. Like I don't think so.
Man.
I don't see it. And that's not even to say like that I can't be friends with a woman or something like that. But it's to say like most men, if they're not, if you're a single man, you can't be platonic in a platonic friendship. Like you're in some way planning something, thinking something. You might say something slick. There's gonna go the wrong way, the wrong direction. So I just don't see it.
It's some men that can't even have platonic massage therapists. So
ooh.
Shots fired.
Like T said, man, check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think platonic friendships do exist, right? But just how you spend that time with these people, you know what I'm saying? That's everything. If your wife or your boyfriend is always around, it's a group setting. But when you start getting into like these really intimate situations, human nature takes over sometimes for some people. A lot of people don't have that self-discipline.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think it is I mean, it's like on one, I feel the exact same way y'all feel. But on the other hand, I can understand it. Like, you know what I mean? I know I've had female friends where I, didn't want them. They didn't want me. We were just homies. We known each other for 15 years, going on 20 years. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's the homie. We hang out, we chill. But we're also not getting suited and booted and going to an expensive restaurant. We're not hopping on the Ferris wheel and sharing a churro. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing none of those things, man. We're not doing nothing of the sort, man. So I think it just it really levels, man. It's really levels. And I think that looked like that level was crossed. Like the line was crossed in those picks. But in the end of the day, we don't know their situation. We don't even know those people. But if it was, I tend to side on you on the same side as you guys on this one.
Yeah, it was a little too much. Like I said, if you out at Fridays and your friend texts you, you're like, oh, dang, I'm on your side of town, pull up, and y'all share some Jack Daniels ribs, whatever. But you're not about to back. You're not about to be.
Is this one plate of ribs, or we both have our separate plate?
Bring me some back.
I gotta know.
You can share one plate.
I don't know, man. Once we get to sharing plates, man, I don't know.
You can share one plate, but like I said, I can't have you in the mirror for an hour. You know what I'm saying? Putting on an outfit you never even wore for me. Like, You got
no dresses, no suits, not on no friend date. Feel me?
right. You got
You gotta wear sweatpants and a hoodie.
Jeans, max. Jeans,
Why you got the
max.
fancy
Yeah,
on?
right. Gotta put on my hoodie so they know the scent. You feel me?
And I might just pop up. I might just pop up at the venue. Make sure everything's going according to plan.
Facts. Like, what are you talking about, friend? I ain't got nothing to do today. What do you mean?
I might invite myself. What time we leaving? You feel me? But hey, man, I think that's a pretty interesting topic, man. Hell of a show tonight, fellas. I'm sure everybody watching is going to enjoy this one. And I want to hear y'all's opinions, man. Chime in. Leave a comment on the YouTube. Leave a comment on the Twitter, whatever. I want to hear what y'all think. Should we be normalizing friendship dates? Or the panel, do we just have frail masculinities? Or are we on the right side of this, man? Please let us know. But as always, man, another great show, man. Gas presents Sports for the Culture. If you don't know where to find us, all you got to do is search Good Ass Sports on the internet, the World Wide Web. Something's going to pop up for us. If you don't want to search that, just search Gas Network. If you haven't downloaded the Gas Network app, go to your app store, whether it be Google Play or the Apple App Store, type in Gas Network or Gas Sports Network. It'll pop up. When you see those brackets, you know what time it is. It's Gas Sports for the Culture. Y'all know how we leave every time, fellas. Sports for the culture.
Sports for the culture.
For the culture.